Hey, what's up guys? Chris here from MIXDOWN Online, and today we're going to look at 3 things you need to know about collaboration. Alright, so again, like, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here on this channel. Alright, so today we're going to talk to Dane Myers from Custom Tracks. Now, I've worked with Dane last fall. We collaborated together on an album I was producing for a client. I needed at that time some good professional musicians to record 2 jazz tracks. Okay, what I was looking for was to get live musicians in a large studio. So I could have hired some musicians here in town and rent a studio in Montreal and so on, but my schedule was full and it was a bit too hard to manage at this time. So I thought of Dane. I gave him a call and asked him, can you provide me with some very good jazz players for the recording of 2 songs? He told me, yeah, sure, no problem. So what we did, me and Jamie, we worked on the song arrangements, and Jamie wrote down all the lead sheets for the players. I was here in Montreal while the recording was happening in Orlando, and I was communicating online during the session via webcam. To assist, to be there at the session, which was quite interesting and cool. I was able to make my comments live on the spot and ask for some changes if needed and stuff like that. So that was very cool to interact with Dane and his team right in the studio live from my place, my studio, with these guys in Orlando. My client at some point was here in the studio. She flew in from Martinique to record her vocals, and she was able to assist a few sessions we did with these guys in Orlando. So that was quite interesting to do some online collaboration like that. And let me tell you, these guys are good. I was very impressed. This is what I'm used to. I'm used to hire some professional musicians when I'm working on a project, and to be able to have the same quality that what I'm used to here in Montreal, and to get access to that huge studio at the same time, that very big facility to record. That was quite cool, and this is exactly what I was looking for. So collaboration for me works very well. So this is why I wanted to share that video with you, my experience with these guys, and I'm just going to show you a quick video, a quick clip on the session they did for one of the jazz songs we collaborated together. And then we're going to talk to Dane, and he's going to share with us 3 things to know when collaborating. Hey Dane, how are you?
Hey Chris, I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. Dane, just tell us more about what you guys are doing with Custom Tracks.
We have a bunch of session musicians, and we make them available to people in different places around the world who maybe don't have session musicians to work with where they are, or want to work with our musicians. They can live stream in and collaborate with these really experienced, really knowledgeable and easy to work with people.
That's cool, and they are pretty experienced. I noticed that.
I have so much fun with just like listening to them do what they do. So it's a good group. Yeah, that's cool.
It was funny because I remember when we first collaborated together, it was only for 2 songs at first, and then when I heard what these guys were capable of doing, I was like, okay, Dane, that piano player, what was his name again? I forgot.
Estelle.
Yeah. Man, what a piano player that guy is.
Yeah.
So I decided to go forward and have him record like maybe 4 songs total.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, extra songs. So that was quite cool. I'm very happy I did so.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. It's always fun to hear that people get excited about it. You're in Montreal and we're in Orlando. So it's cool to have it touch someone far away, and it
Yeah.
still be the same music that we all experience. And so
It was funny because my
yeah.
client, the client I was working with, the artist was from Martinique, which is
Mhm.
an island, a French island out of the Caribbean. So it was quite cool.
That makes me wish I was a lot better at geography. Like I wish I knew where that was.
You know what? It's closer to where you are than from where I am.
So she went to Montreal to work with us in Florida.
There you go.
How do you spell this? Martinique.
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 Martiniqueus.
I got it here. I got it here.
Got it. Yeah.
The picture is beautiful here on Google Maps. It's just like it just looks incredible. Maybe we could go do a session and visit her there.
What about that?
I think
That would be cool.
musicians would be into it. I think they would be happy to load up and go.
I'm pretty sure they would. Yeah. So when did you started the custom tracks?
I think it was probably 2016 or something, maybe. I
Okay.
think maybe in the summer of 2016 is when we did our first client was someone in Poland, and I had set up, the website, and I had done some work for like someone that I knew who lived in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I was like still trying to figure out, like, can we find people who are going to be somewhere else that we've never met before that use our service? And someone in Poland just randomly like got like 3 songs booked, and I was so excited. I think that was like the summer of 2016.
Nice.
I got that totally wrong, but I think that's right.
So do you cover any music genre?
Yeah, we've done like mariachi, and we do like a lot of like rock, and we even done like some metal stuff, and then like the jazz stuff we did with you, and
Yeah.
a lot of like pop stuff, and it's cool too seeing like EDM electronic artists, traditionally laptop genres incorporate live musicians in a really cool way, because now it's accessible to somebody if you just have a laptop, and before, like, you have to have a laptop and know a studio and session musicians and be plugged into that network. And so I really enjoy getting to like interface live session musicians, like really technical, competently players, and connect that with the EDM folk. I think that's cool.
That's pretty nice.
It feels like in a small way it's pulled like musicianship in a traditional sense and melded it with kind of the new age of making music on a laptop.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like about that.
And what about the studio? Tell us a bit about the studio you work at.
Yeah, we work out of a few places. The one that we mostly work out of is called Stark Lake Studios in Ocoee, and I think it was built kind of back around when Disney was really flourishing, and there was some people involved with creating music for Disney that built the studio. And it's really an incredible room to have so close to where we are. It's out in Ocoee. Yeah, it's giant. I mean, you saw it, and you saw it in the video. It's just like a big, great sounding room.
It is.
And it's fun to put like all the musicians in the same room together, especially for a genre like we did, like the jazz tune with you. There's really not another better way to do it than to put a bunch of great musicians in a great room. And
but that's exactly what I was looking for at first.
And that's hard to find. Like that's hard to set up usually.
Exactly.
That's how I wanted to do my first record. And the producer was like, I remember the conversation. I remember thinking, because I was like all earthy, organic. I was a drummer. And I was making like a singer-songwriter record, and I remember being like, well, like, I want to do live drums on this. And he's like, well, okay, it's $60 an hour here. If we set the drum kit up, that'll take like an hour, and then we tear it down, that'll take an hour. And if you get it in one take, like maybe we're going to look at like 2.5, 3 hours for this. Or like I could just do it in 15 minutes on the keyboard. And I'm like sitting there with like, being 18 and like having no budget and going like, let's do it on the keyboard. But I kind of always felt itchy about it, Like I always was like, man, I know that that's not a real musician, and it was like a blues tune. I would have wanted it to be. And so it just kind of made it not as special somehow to me at that time. And so like, I would have loved to have something where I could work with somebody for an affordable price and not have to compromise.
Yeah, because talking about price, it is pretty affordable, I must say.
It is reasonably priced.
It is.
Right now. Maybe we'll have to jack it up and get really crazy with the prices.
Even though, it's still going to be pretty cheap, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Well,
Yeah, because the fact that you have access to, you know, a nice recording facility and all these top-notch musicians.
Well, and that's really where the cost comes from or where the savings comes from is it's like, you know, when we did your songs, you know, they were done. I think we probably used the first take. You know, you see in that video, like it's all literally one take
It's mainly the
in the
same take.
video.
Yeah. The
So
only thing I did some edit on was the trumpet solo, but that's it.
yeah, like piecing together some of the different solo parts.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if they can just get in there, I mean, you think about the song, it's like a 3-minute song. It doesn't need to take 6 hours to track it if you have the musicians. So a lot of our efficiency just comes from like, it's really simple. Like, you know, you just have really cool players and you put them in a room. And also, this is another thing is really cool is how well you prepared to, you know, have us do the session by providing like the lead sheets and charts and stuff like that. That doesn't usually make the studio time take longer. It's just more work on the front end for whoever's like putting the session together.
Yeah.
To like, you know, be like, okay, what's the structure? And, you know, especially for a tune like that, that's more complex.
Exactly.
It was really a big help. Made it go smoothly. So
I'm happy, but it helped out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that, I mean, when someone sends that, I just go, oh, this is going to be so much fun because nothing's going to get in the way of like, just like playing music.
No. And as a producer, you know, when I send some songs to be recorded elsewhere as a collaboration with other musicians, I like to send as much details as possible. So writing down lead sheets and stuff is part of it.
Right. Yeah. And
it's something that, you know, makes everything better anyways.
Right. It's kind of like you're giving us a hug. It's like, oh, we know that this person's on our side. They want to have this be a great session. They've got the tools. So, and the musicians too, I think gives them confidence.
Do you get that a lot?
Honestly, no. Like I would say that's like 20% of the time.
Okay.
Which is fine. You know, like, and I think, you know, a lot of songs that we get are very simple. They just need it's simple, but they just need it to be really good.
Yeah.
And so the musicians are great about, especially the ones that we use the most, are really awesome about showing up and knowing the song, which is such a simple quality. You know, like you think about, you want to be a professional musician, like you do need a lot of chops and you need like to be able to really play your face off, right? But something so simple as just like, you know, knowing the song structure when you show up for the session makes such a big difference.
It does.
In morale for everybody and just the flow of the day of, you know, of back and stuff. And so that they kind of pick up the slack there a lot of times. Just, you know, they're just got really good at listening to stuff and remembering how the structure goes. And that kind of always amazes me because I'm, as a musician, that I'm still not to the point where I can hear it and remember it as well as they can. But you know, obviously having lead sheets is the best way to go.
Now you want to share with us let me check. It was 3 things to know when collaborating, because since you do a lot of collaboration, you're probably a good person to tell us about those 3 things. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I'm so glad you asked. I just jotted down a few things that I thought would be helpful. And these are kind of geared towards, you know, like artist producers or people that are kind of managing their project and like very creatively attached to it, which I think is like an interesting position to be in because you like obviously care a lot. And sometimes that can be, I don't know about an obstacle to like the product turning out well, but it can just be like, make it kind of tenuous to like work with other people sometimes. And, you know, like, I guess probably the best advice is just find the coolest session musician you can. You know, one of the reasons I started doing this is because a lot of our local artists were like, you know, obviously trying to save on costs. And so they're like, oh, and they're not like musicians, they're songwriters and they accompany themselves, but they're not like, you know, like a session musician themselves. Yeah. And so they would just like, oh, I know this person, they're a drummer. Let me get them to come in and do it because they'll do it as a favor. And then they would end up paying more in like studio time for us to edit it. And so, you know, they would have created like a much more authentically cool project if they had just gotten somebody that was really dope at what they do. Exactly. And then, they would have just made the project like, I think the more that I work on stuff, like the more I appreciate how the impact of like the energy of the session going well. Because if it starts to bottom out and you feel like everything that you're putting into the microphone has to get like messed with and like fixed, and it just starts feeling like you're not making something cool. And it, you know, it just kind of brings down the excitement. Everyone's expectations of like how prepared to be start going down, and like, you know, how the record's going to turn. You know, everybody starts to like kind of compromise. They're like, well, we're tracking crap anyway, you know?
Exactly.
So like nobody wants that. So I feel like that's something that takes like, you know, hitting your head against the wall to be like, okay, you know, I really do want to invest in a good quality session musician. But I really feel like for what you'd pay to edit it and for the value that it provides in terms of morale for the project,
Yeah.
it's so worth it to me.
And that's a detail we don't think of a lot, you know, the editing part of it when you're working with a non-professional musician.
And editing is like a you know, editing is, I don't call them session editors or anything, but editing is like another kind of rare. You have to afford someone who like can do a good job editing if you have crap takes, you know, and that's not super easy to come by either. Hopefully you're working with a good studio, but yeah, it's just, you know, it seems like such an easy thing because these people, maybe you've played with them live or something like that, but if you get them in to record some stuff, it just starts like, you know, it just starts kind of feeling itchy. It just doesn't, you know, parts aren't right, or there's stuff that's distracting, and pretty soon it's like, well, why did we record this? Because it's not, you know, it's not very good, or it's not as good as the stuff that I, you know, that me as the artist that I recorded. It's these session players aren't matching up. So so that would be probably the first one.
Okay.
I think the second one is like, it's hard to have a good balance of knowing what you want and understanding. I've heard Bruce Sweeting talk about like the primal essence of the song, like the feelings, you know, it may not even be really describable without using the music to express what it is that song is about, like in words, to like explain to a producer or musician. But like just kind of having that compass set at like, this is like, you know, this is it, this is what we're making. But also like, also having an open mind that, you know, your musician, your session musician or your collaborator might totally get where you're coming from. And they may have other ways of getting there that use their skill set that you as the artist just wouldn't think of because you have a different skill set. And so like knowing where you're going, but also being open to someone else's way of getting there. And I think that goes for session musicians. I also really think that goes for producers and studios.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for a lot of like, you know, I just redid a track for somebody. Somebody was trying to do a cover song. And sometimes it takes like twice as long to like dial in everything to fit something that's already set in stone as it does to just create something that still produces that emotion, but that happens naturally from like my skill set or like my decision making, or, you know, so like it's kind of like a balance between like still providing direction, but also not being so rigid that everyone just kind of becomes the machine cranking out the thing that you have your mind set on. So it's like kind of coming to it with an open mind, but I think everybody's balance is a little bit different. It helps when you really trust and have confidence in the people you're working with. And when those people are really experienced, and like when you say something, they kind of already know where you're going, which is another comment that I'm very thankful that we get a lot, is that like, you know, how easy it is to direct the musicians that we have, just because like they're kind of already thinking that, you know, the direction that you want to go, they're already aware that that's a good option. And so when you start to bring it up, they're like, I got you, let's do it.
Exactly.
So, and then the third one is like, from a songwriting perspective.
Okay.
I know sometimes like I've written songs that I've been like, oh, that's an okay song, but I think it'll work really well as a production, like as a track. Like, you know, maybe I wouldn't record the song acoustically because it just wasn't like compelling enough, but I start to think like, well, if I have some cool ideas for the production of it, so maybe it'll be worthwhile if I were to do that. And, you know, that's cool. Like, I think that's cool, but I think what I've started to feel like more often than not is that the song, as far as like the story, and again, like that kind of primal emotional starting place, can kind of stand on its own as as a stripped down song, as just like a, you know, melody, lyrics, and a harmony and a accompaniment on some sort of harmony instrument. And almost looking at the production and arrangement as not ways to, I don't want to say pick up the slack, because it doesn't need to be negative necessarily, but not being kind of being a separate dimension from that songwriting part of it.
Exactly.
And those things, their role isn't to isn't to like necessarily compensate for not telling the story well in the songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to kind of manage the energy and the attention and to kind of raise and lower the stakes as necessary. So like when we're incorporating drums and like, you know, keys or horns or something like that, you know, we're thinking about how can we amplify what's already happening there. And I think sometimes there's a tendency to want to like, you know, just like compensate for maybe the song needing more work by adding things.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
That even as a producer, when working with artists and they come up with, you know, with their songs, and usually, you know, they want a 10-song album and they only have 10 songs written,
right.
You know, and
right.
It's like, okay, so this is what I have to work with.
Yeah.
And it's not all of them that are good songs.
Right.
You know, if you want to have like 10 good songs on a project, you need to write like 20, 25, 30 songs to have at least a decent amount of good songs of the album. This is usually how it works. The more songs you write, the better songs you're going to end up writing in the end.
And it works out budget-wise too, to think like, okay, well, I need these to be able to, you know, maybe you do an album of acoustic tunes first. And if you can get 10 songs that you feel like carry their own acoustically, then maybe you go back and you do like,
because a well-written song, a very good song is going to be good, you know, stripped down to a guitar and vocal or a piano voice track. That's it, you know? So if you can strip that down to an acoustic version of the song and the song is good at this point,
right,
you have a good song in your hands.
We've been having a lot of fires here, like bonfires. And I'm always interested in what songs translate well when my friends bring a song to the bonfire.
That's cool.
That seems like a good, you know?
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
That's so cool, because now you know right off the bat if the song is good, because you'll get the people's reaction at the same time.
Right.
Now, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can so customtracks.com. There's an unfortunate hyphen, custom-tracks.
Okay.
We also, our local studio here, we do a fair amount of video production now for artists, and we're prototyping marketing artists in a way that could be accessible to, you know, not just a few people. So keep an eye on our local studio is called Wholehearted Productions.
Okay.
You can go to wholehearted.productions. There's no .com, just wholehearted.productions.
Okay. I'm going to leave all the links in the description down below anyway.
Yeah. Say hey on Instagram. Just shoot me a DM or
cool.
Or shoot me an email if you have any questions or just want to talk music or whatever. And yeah, if you need session musicians, you can let me know. Just feel free to send one of your songs, and if you need any input on it or whatever, I'm happy to take a listen to stuff and check it out. So yeah, I'm on the interwebs constantly. So
that's awesome, Dane. Hey, thanks a lot for spending the time with us.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks again, Dane. That was awesome. Guys, if you're looking to hire some professional musicians, check out customtracks.com. I'm going to leave all the links below in the description. And if you have any questions or comments, again, leave them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, click on like and share, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. All right, guys, talk to you soon.